Hi, what's up? We're in the next part. Please go check out the previous part to gauge your bearings. I'm out here explaining to you guys that I am a woman protected by God, and I've been a girl protected by God all my life, ever since I was a child, and how it is that there are so many bullets that I dodged, things that I could have found myself in, and yet, however, they did not happen. And the reason why they did not happen was because I was being protected from very early, from essentially having a destiny that would unfold, that would have been excruciating for me and likely turned me from ever turning to Jesus. Alright, I'm born again because of the bullets that I have dodged. I am saved precisely because the Lord made sure that the trajectory that He set apart for me would go in a particular way. Listen, alright, I was telling you a story about my first love. The first guy that I ever loved. I was never with him, though. We eluded each other. We evaded each other, right, until it was impossible for us to be together. I spoke about how it is that he never dated anyone that I knew. However, I ended up with one of his friends. After years, it would become clear that, like, I would meet a man that would then turn out to be one of his boys, and that was the thing that made it impossible for us to ever perhaps talk about the fact that we've kind of liked each other this whole time, right? That became the thing that was impossible. And upon him watching my life with my ex on, I guess, my Facebook, and otherwise, like, he was there at... Oh, guys, like, shame. I feel like now that I think about it, I'm feeling sad for him, because, like, the events that we would go to where he was at, he would watch me holding hands with my ex, making out with my ex, hugging, kissing, all that jazz. Like, he watched all that, and he was just around. Like, I feel bad for him. And the reason why I say I feel bad for him is because I told you in the previous part that there was a time when we were at this one restaurant at Benmore Gardens, and not one of my girls, he came and spoke to me because I was the one that he recognized at that joint. And we greeted and hugged, and I introduced him to all my girls. And I introduced him as my ex's friend, more than even my friend from school or whatever. Anyway, and my girls, 3 or 4 of them came to me on some, who's your friend? Who's your friend? And I was really jealous. I was like violently jealous. I was preventative. I was aggressive. I was like, like, for no reason, like, because I think he was single. Yeah, I was aggressive. I didn't want them touching him. And when I went home that day, I realized that, oh goodness, like, I still like him. Like, why in the world am I so preventative? I also told you guys in the previous part that I didn't tell my ex-boyfriend that I liked him so much in primary school, because I was hiding it, because there was something still there. Anyway, whatever. Cool. So this man watched what I didn't have to. He watched what I never saw him loving on another woman all up in my grill. I never also saw him especially loving on someone that was my friend. So yeah, to a certain extent, I can say that much. I can say sorry that you had to watch that type thing, but it still does not justify what he did to me. I dodged a bullet, alright? Remember that random buffoon from primary school that used to tease me in class? The one that, when the teacher was doing a quiz or questionnaire, I said that in the first part, he would laugh at every one of my answers. Yeah, he would go on to be among the people just from seeing me on Facebook, because he became my friend on Facebook later in life, okay? He would go on to bewitch me just because of some crush that he had in primary school. So that's the first bullet that I dodged. My first crush when I went to primary school, to Winchester Ridge Primary, was that dude who was mean to me. I let him go because he was mean to me, and years later, he would then go on right ahead to slap me with a whole bunch of sorcery because he was watching me on Facebook. But he was nothing in comparison, pin drop in the ocean, in comparison to Khomozo. The other one I called him what? Zonke. Yeah, Zonke. What Zonke did to me pales. It pales in comparison to what the one that I really dug did. This Khomozo oak, okay, started with me before I came to Christ, just from watching me with my ex. I am sorry that I hurt him, but really, how can I be sorry? Because we weren't together, and he's the one that wasted time. Azanga Shela is that basic. Okay, he could have been a little bit more aggressive with his pursuit. He just wasn't. Yeah. However, if I had dated him, like, guys, I don't even know how to tackle this thing, but I need to try and get it in before this becomes a 20,000 hour long part. All right, this the sorcery that he put on me was so below the belt. It was so below the belt. He was so angry at me. He was so mad at me. He was livid. it's almost as if though he wanted to punish me for hurting him. Enough for me, it's like, I don't even understand. Like, you didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. He didn't pursue me. He wasted time. But like, he was so abusive. He was, hey batong, guy, like, I did not cheat on you with my ex. We were not together. And I met my ex in a different environment and just so happened to find out he's one of your boys later in life. It was ridiculous what this guy did to me. Came as such a shock that even in the dreams that I would get, like one after the other, and mind you, the dreams that I got, right, I would only get these dreams once I came to Christ. I left Facebook, right, because I was just coming into Christ. I was getting born again, but the spiritual gifting that God gave me, he would only ramp it up and beef it up once I was like super hot and heavy with the Holy Spirit. So it's almost as if though God showed me in retrospect what was done to me and what would have been the outcome of my life if I didn't turn my life to Jesus. Guys, okay, let me just get straight into it. The first dream that I got with this guy, and it was so confusing because he was such good people. He was so fresh and always full of smiles and such a warm guy. Nothing that would ever hint that he would ever be this mean. He was never passive aggressive towards me or mean, ever. But he was harboring a lot of bitterness, a lot of it. And like I said, I get it though. I understand. He had to watch the woman that he loved love on someone else, and it heavied him. But in all fairness, he said nothing. He said nothing. Like, he said nothing. Anyway, whatever. Cool beans and bananas. Here it is that this Oki in this dream, it was the first one that I got. It was situated at my aunt's house. And my aunt's house is always just the seat or the root of a lot of sorcery that I see, because she's been all up in my mother's grill. So whenever the Lord is trying to show me a great deal of regression, sometimes dreams just kind of fashion themselves at my aunt's house. I've had a lot of them at my aunt's house, right? But it was outside of my aunt's house, and it was like super pitch black dark outside. It was super pitch black dark outside, okay? And oh my goodness, guys, I was like in a sea of snakes. The road just outside of my aunt's house was just littered with snakes just on top of each other, and there was so much fear. I was so scared. I was so scared in my dream. And this guy, I see him and I'm like, Homozo, what are you doing? Homozo, what are you doing? And Homozo like is taking me, right? So the snakes on my aunt at my aunt's Sako, my aunt's, just outside of my aunt's house, the snakes were like, there was like a lot of them back there, okay? However, if I progressed ahead, forward, they would get fewer and fewer, and they would get thinner and thinner, smaller and smaller. The ones behind were anacondic, like they looked like anacondas and pythons, like they were big and they were black and they were crawling like just on each other, like, guys, it was terrible. And Ohomoto was like literally taking me and dragging me backward to where it is that the snakes get even more voluminous and more thick and more girthy and disgusting and on top of each other, endangering me essentially. And I'm screaming in my dream on some, Homozo, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? Like, I'm confused in the dream. I'm like, why are you doing this to me? And there is a tug of war, like a battle between us, where it is that I am actively trying to run ahead, where the snakes get fewer and fewer so I can finally get out from the snake terrain. And he is trying, Uhomozo, to push me to the Gokomaraho. And I am confused. I'm looking at him on some, why are you doing this to me? In my dream, I was confused. I was like, why are you doing this to me? And I'm crying and I'm crying and I'm crying. Eventually, after we wrestle long enough in my dream, he gives up. He lets me go because he was actively trying to push me backward. And then he walks ahead with somebody else. There was some dude that he was with when he did that. I don't know who the guy was. He was shrouded in darkness just like Homozo, but he eventually let me go, right? And then once he let me go, I ran then, of course, ahead to escape these snakes. But he was still just walking amidst them. Plus, when he was in the middle of the snakes trying to pull me back, he wasn't scared of them. It's almost as though they were a part of him. But I was the one that was fleeing from them. So when he was walking ahead, he wasn't even bothered to avoid the snakes or to jump or hop over them. He was just walking straight like nothing at all. Like, you know how in horror movies, the thing that scares you, you could be running and it's walking and it is still catching up with you. That's how he was in my dream. That the whole very ominous environment was not taxing him, but it was taxing me. And the dream ended with me basically running out and salvaging myself from out of these snakes. essentially God was showing me that if I did not get saved at the time that I got saved, this man would have drowned me. I dodged a bullet. The Lord was showing me that if I did not get born again at the opportune moment, if I did, because I remember I left Facebook suddenly, and then all of a sudden I was all interested in the things of God, and then my ex and I, we have this horrible breakup, and then next thing I'm feverish for Jesus. It was at that very pivotal time in my life. He was casting some pretty ominous spells on me, and it was all inspired by bitterness because of unrequited love, which could have been totally requited. But if it was requited, the Lord showed me what would have been our relationship. I dodged a bullet. I'm trying to help you understand. I dodged a bullet because of indiscretion, because of my friend who pounced on my man, claiming that it's her man. I dodged a bullet because of me not being ready to date. Largely, the biggest thing that helped me dodge that bullet was what happened on campus that fateful day at first year when we met. That's what made me dodge a bullet, because my friend, if she had not pounced on me growling, telling me he's mine, even though he never pursued her, he was never interested in her. He never even tried. He was always, if anything, he saw her more than he saw me on campus, and yet never tried to get with her at all. Yeah, he never pursued my friend, and yet I ended up with his. But it's not like I went out of my way. Like, I didn't even know they were friends. Anyway, whatever, you get my point. Alright? Anyway, this Okie, if that day my friend did not basically slap me, scratch my eyeballs out, telling me don't take my man, and I then backed off, if at all she hadn't done that, we probably would have ended up together. He would have probably been my boyfriend not throughout varsity. He would have dropped out. I would have stayed there. You get my point, right? But like, I like saying, there are times when I say that I wonder what would have happened if him and I had dated in varsity. I would have avoided so many other stupid relationships that I would enter into, where it is that I gathered for myself dumbos that put sorcery on me. Yeah. Like I would have not met my ex. Ugh, goodness. I would not have been the guy. Like, ugh, I would not have been with my ex. I would not have ended up with some other dude that ended up like some gay dude that dated like some closet homosexual. Like, he was in denial, so was I. But I didn't even like him anyway. We broke up. I would not have dated, just a lot of things that I would have eradicated quite a lot. But I would have been with a very diabolical man, like an extremely diabolical man. And like, the thing is, the feelings that I had for that guy and the roots of it were so deep and so entrenched that it would have been that much harder for me to leave. It would have been so much harder for me to leave than it was with my other ex. Like, for instance, I would not have had to push this guy to be as ambitious or to be as pursuant of his own, the way that I did with my ex. Like, I struggled a lot with my ex. He struggled with self-motivation. This guy, I would not have struggled with that. Like, I would have basically been given pretty much everything I wanted in a man on a silver platter, only for me to later on endure such an excruciating pain with my husband. Listen, okay? Listen to what God showed me about this guy and what would have happened between us, alright? So the sorcery, the bitter one, where he was pulling me back, that was the first one that I got. The second one, and these dreams, when I got them, I would wake up so confused because this guy was such a good guy. He was so sweet. He was good people's. I would have anticipated that he would ever do anything of this nature. So, I didn't understand. Like, I just said, yeah, I didn't get it. It would only take me finally suffering a lot of persecution to finally get what those dreams were implying. But by the time that I got what it is that they were telling me, I was afflicted by so many other witches that I was just like, whatever, the zombie apocalypse. I had already I got over pretty much everybody, alright, that I ever had any crush or feelings for. So whatever. But let me tell you the second dream. I was in a sexual relationship with this guy. I wasn't in a relationship with him. I was having sex with him in a hotel that looked really cheap. And after having my body, he just threw me to the side and did not love me. He used me as a one-night stand. And in my dream, after the deed, I looked at him and I was like, but why are you? I was hurting so badly in my dream. I was in so much pain. I was in love with him, just like I felt in all the way from primary school. Those strong feelings I had for him, they were in my dream. So I was basically here having sex with a man that I was very in love with. And he and I were doing it for the first time ever. And afterwards, he just tossed me like I was nothing. Like I was a one-night stand. And And after he did what he did with me in my dream, I was crying in my dream. And I was like, but why are you doing this to me? I was in so much pain. Yo, guys, like I woke up in the morning and the pain was still chilling on my throat. I was like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you being like this? Why are you treating me like a harlot? Why are you treating me like this? The confusion in my dream is the confusion I still have to this day. And it's the confusion that I woke up with. And when I woke up, I was like, Khomonzo, why am I dreaming about him like this? Remember, at this stage, I don't understand my dreams. I'm just getting them. Essentially what that dream was intending to do. The first one with the snakes, he was trying to regress me back to some grain of nothingness that I was not interested in going back into. With the snakes, right? This one was God showing me that this guy was so embittered by unrequited love, where I was concerned, that he wanted me going forward in the future to enter into relationships with guys that would only use me for sex and move on. Like, he proper went and cast a spell or spells on me to make sure that no man will ever take me seriously, that every guy is just gonna hit it and quit it. That's why I get it. If I had not gotten saved at the time that I got saved, this guy he was going to afflict my future. Do you understand? I was going to be reduced to just this harlot that keeps on sleeping with dudes that leave her afterwards. If at all I did not get celibate, if I did not get saved in Christ, and so therefore hold fast to chastity, I was going to, under this curse, meet men that I would think, this is that I'm in love. And then it was one night stand. He knew by then that my ex and I had broken up because they're friends, right? Yeah, that's what's good. So he told himself that, seeing as she's broken up with my boy, she's not gonna be loved. Like, every guy that she gets with is just gonna use her body and move on. Onions, I think, guys, like, he did that to me. He did that to me. And when in my dream, however, it was him. It was not some new dude. It was him. And he was so mean-spirited. He could not care less. He just hit it and quit it. Would his witchcraft have worked? I don't know. All I know is that if I did not get saved at the time that I got saved, this guy, he was going to hurt my future. Do you understand? My romantic future in particular. After those two dreams, I would then get a series of dreams from God showing me what this man that feels as if though I passed him up would have been like all the way from high school. Like, if at all I had dated him from high school, what would have happened? And this is the scenario that God unraveled for me in a dream, and I've already explained it to you. I dodged a bullet. This man that believed that if I had not dated other people, if I had basically just embraced my heart for him, if I had been with him, that I would have been a happy chappy, a happy girlfriend turned happy wife. The Lord showed me that if I had essentially started dating him in grade 8, just like basically my friend tells me, Khomoso likes you. And I'm like, oh, I like him back. Give him my number. Give him my landline. 011, etc. It would have started from what the Lord showed me out very... Okay, so when I was, he would have broken my virginity too early, okay? Not that any age would have been okay, but like, I would have been too sexual for a kid. Like, there's a couple when I was in high school. There was this couple when we were in grade 8, right? And this girl was in we were in grade 9, sorry. And this girl was in grade 10, and this guy was in grade matric. He was in matric. We were in grade 8. This chick was in grade 9, and this dude was in grade 11. And they started dating when she was in grade 9. He was in grade 11, all the way up until he was now entering into matric, and they broke up in matric. This couple, these two, everybody would remember them. If at all you went to Sir John Adamson, in 1998. They were so inappropriate for a high school couple. It was ridiculous. It's like they were university kids. They spent all their time together. Right? So every break, they were together. First break, second break, after school. They spent all their time together. They hung out with each other. He did not hang out with his boys. She did not hang out with her girls. She was always with her boyfriend. And the two of them would always be snogging away at break, all break long. Okay? Yeah, and they would do this in front of us, like everybody in the school would just see these two, like, just making out, like, in front of, like, the whole school. And it was like that for like 2 whole years. Just this public display of affection, we'd see it. And we would speculate as to whether or not they were having sex. This chick was in grade 9, so she was 15. And we would be like, oh my goodness, this chick, she's like, what if she falls pregnant? Like, what if this, what if that? And then we'd speculate, no, maybe they're not having sex. Maybe they're just snogging all the time. And anyway, there was just this PDA couple that was just hard to watch every single day. They were just too adult for a high school in the 90s, in 1998. Yeah, I mean, these days I don't know what's going on in high schools. Like, kids are just ridiculous now, but back then that stuff was taboo. Yeah, it was just not, it was hard on the eye. That's what I'm getting at. And so we used to kind of judge them. That's what I'm getting at. The Lord used that couple. He used them in my dream to explain to me what we would have been like, me and that dude, if at all I had accommodated him in grade 8. The Lord showed me that it would start out very feverish, like high school, like young love, and it would be very extremely passionate and very adult. It would have started out extremely adult. We were gonna make out all the time and all that jazz. And oh, mind you, that same dude, there's the story messy. In matric, him and this girl broke up, and he came for me. Like, he pursued me. Yeah, guys, it's a long story. Anyway, when he was busy pursuing me, because I had seen him for like 2 whole years, snogging with this other girl. And remember, like, I am now, I'm not ready to have sex, okay? And this dude is out here obviously having sex with his girlfriend, because like all those PDAs, and he's pursuing me. So I'm thinking, you're gonna make me an adult, and I don't want to be one. But he's pursuing me like heavy, and among his motivations to be with me was, she's cheating on me with an older guy. It's like some man, he even has a car. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like, I didn't want to hear that about that girl. Like, I didn't want to know that she's busy sleeping with a man with a car. I mean, when you're in high school, that's big. A man with a car is like cash. I was like, oh my goodness, whoa. Man with a car, pedophilia. That's what's going on. Anyway, so he claimed that she was cheating on him with a man while he was just a boy in school. So I should be with him because he deserves to be with a girl that is happy to be just a girl. But I'm like, you were treating her like a man. You were not treating her like a girl, like a boy. You were treating her like a man. And so you're gonna make me a woman too. And I'm still a girl, and I want to stay a girl. Anyway, that whole scenario, that situation with that boy, with my first love, the Lord showed me that my relationship was gonna be like that. That my relationship was gonna be like the one of those two. That guy was not in my school, however, so there would have been the element of distance in that I would have only seen him probably like on weekends, like after school and stuff like that. But he told me that the relationship would have been very tight. We would have been close, very, very close, and he would have been my first. In terms like he would have taken my virginity, and he would have taken it much too early. I would not have been able to resist waiting until a certain time. However, the relationship would sour somewhere along the way, and he would take me for granted. So from what I saw in the one dream, we were like that couple in my school, right? And then the same dream graduated over to this clubbing scene, like nightlife scene, where it is that now we're out of high school, we are young adults each, and in this dream I was in just so much pain, partying with my boyfriend. I was in pain because he was irresponsible with my heart. He was all over the show. He was cheating on me, and I would catch him in this situation with basically God showed me it would have been toxic. Like, I would catch him cheating on me and get back together with him anyway. That soul tie would have been so heavy, so deep, because the passion was strong, the feelings were strong. We fell in love as just children in primary school. It would have been hard to get out. It would have been essentially messing with fire when you're still too young to understand it, and it would have messed me up. It would have messed me up, and it would have made me stay with a guy that would have taken me for granted somewhere along the way, even though the relationship would have started out very passionate, taken my virginity very early. After matric, he would have been absolutely derelict towards me. Derelict, from what I saw in my dreams, to a point where I would catch him with other girls in the act, because he would have gotten bored of me. Bored, like, just because of the fact that he would have been with one girl from so young in the same grade growing up together. He would have gotten tired of being with me sexually and felt like he needed to go and explore and experiment. And the thing that would have made him go crazy would have been varsity, like out of high school. It would have made him go crazy. It would have made him suddenly look at me like, wapora, garabo. Look at all this meat that's around me. Remember, he was a very good looking guy, tall, handsome, everything. So women would have flooded to him. I told you guys about my friends that were all up in his grill at that not design quarters, but that restaurant in Benmore, at Benmore Gardens. yeah, type establishment thing, how it is that 4 of my girls were like, whoa, what's going on there? He would have gotten that attention at varsity, underestimated me, therefore, and hurt me perpetually. And I would have caught him, busted him in the act, physically laying with other women, and left him. And he would have then come back, and I would have struggled to tell him, get out. No, we're not getting back together. Basically, you know those toxic relationships of high school sweethearts, where it is that as they get older, it just gets really messy. It's just ugly. Yeah. And even though you want to leave, he's the only one you know. He's the only one you've ever been with. He's your first. He's that whole thing. It would have been like that. I would have been made like a pendulum, just swinging left to right, up and down, with a guy that is taking me for granted. But then it would calm down. It would then calm down from what the Lord showed me, where it is that he would have had his wild days, and then after wreaking havoc in my heart, constantly getting me back after I leave him, the whole thing would calm down once we were working in like corporate South Africa, basically, you know, out of varsity, out of that crazy fast life. And because of it coming down and us having all we knew, we would have been all that we knew from primary. I would have been the ride or die type establishment thing. Essentially, all the benefits and the perks of what my ex got, he would have gotten them, except for much longer, for a lot longer, since primary type thing. He would have been the one to introduce me to them, instead of him being like, oh, this is my boy Homos, and I'm like, oh no, I know him from primary type thing. I would have therefore inevitably also, you know, crossed paths with my ex, but without us dating, due to us being together, due to me and that guy rather being together. So I would have been known as his midi, and the years that would progress would then calm him down, simmer him down from all of his insanity, and basically being swung to and from like a chandelier, like Sia, in infidelity. And in then calming down, he would then propose marriage to me. One of the dreams that I got, God was showing me his family, like how it is that, hey guys, like a scenario. He showed me scenarios of what would have happened to us, that his family would have loved me, right? And that there would have been literally like interventions staged for him to treat me better because of stunts that he was pulling by his family, because of the fact that he would have acted in so a horrible way that it would have basically cost him me. And because of the way that his family would have loved me, they would have then literally staged interventions for him to treat Karabo better, or the woman is going to leave, for crying out loud. And this would be before we even get married. Like things, yeah, that's what that, yo guys, the Lord pointed this scenario. So I'm trying to help you understand Uti. I dodged a bullet, and secondly, this guy, still to this day, unale mindset, I would have married you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because the Lord showed me that he would have treated me like trash after high school. He would have broken my virginity much too young, first and foremost. Soul tie would have been created from early. I would have known him since primary school. A varsity would have been trash for me in those years. He then would have simmered down in our like early 20s, mid 20s, simmered down, proposed marriage, and I would have then ended up married to him. Okay, and this is where it was going to get deep and intense and ugly. The Lord showed me that around the time that I would have gotten married to him, basically the age of around 26, 27, that he would have gotten called, because he did get called to be Isangoma. Yo guys, as he it's like it, but that at around the age of 26 to 27, he would have gotten the call of Ubungoma, and he would have gotten this call while after, like shortly after him and I tie the knot. Yeah, so essentially around the age of 26, 27 would have been when he would have decided that I'm gonna marry her. All right, yo guys, batong living in that dream. First of all, I saw him just we're taking menace, Dennis, yo guys, so yo dudes, like, first of all, he in my dream he got wealthy, he made a lot of money. I was also materially okay, but not wealthy. He's the one that somehow happened into a whole chunk of money. So in my dream, I was chilling in front of Hotropo in my grandmother's house. Again, when I see my grandmother, it's witchcraft and all that jazz. It looked old, right? It looked old. Mara. Guys, it was a Gucci, Prada, like Christian Louis Vuitton shoes, the handbag, my banta, like just a whole bunch of wrapped clothing that I hadn't opened, that this man had just thrown at me. And I didn't open them because I was so depressed. I was so miserable in the marriage with him, and the way that he was apologizing to me was just by buying me new stuff, and I would just pack it without opening it. Just pack it without opening it because he was barely home. And the house in it were hanging my, what do you call this thing? Like snake skins. Snake skins were just hanging from the ceiling. And I, in the dream, got born again. Essentially, exactly what happened to me at around 26 would have happened with me married to this man. I would have given my life to God, but he would have given his to Satan. I would have given my life to Christ, inevitably, because I was called to. I was going to, at some point, interrogate the things of God. And I would have been married to a man that would have rather chosen to embrace the call of Ubungoma, so we were going to be at enmity with each other in the house. He was going to disrespect the living daylights out of my Christianity, and I was going to be trying to reach him for Jesus. And the result would have been a severity of enmity in the marriage, to a point of abandonment. Like in my dream, is the word that I'm looking for abandonment, like abandonment, as in he would just leave me for months on end, and then just come back on some I'm home, and not even apologize, not even explain, just go and leave me in that state, shattered. Now, in terms of my career, in my dream, I did not get to see if I had lost it or what, thanks to being saved, because I lost everything due to my faith and whatnot. But I certainly was a Christian, and my husband was into witchcraft, and I could not bring him home. And I was constantly crying, praying to God for his redemption. However, he was just handling me with sorcery. And then upon feeling super duper guilty, he would then buy me stuff. Now, a man that's just showering me with gifts, I don't know, is he showering a woman that is unemployed? I don't think so. I mean, I had a very strong career. There's no way that I was gonna just not be able to do that. But I guess whether or not you've got your own, sometimes men will buy you a car anyway because they wanna. But when one is buying you a car because he has not been home for 4 months, and then comes back, guys, in my dream, I was miserable. I was miserable in a marriage. And the option of divorce it didn't even cross my mind. It didn't even cross my mind. It's like he was all I knew. There was no way I was leaving him. And I had told myself that I was just going to pray until he gets saved. So that's what my marriage to that man would have been. I would have married him naively, thinking that he could turn to Christ. Because listen, when I was with my ex, at the very tail end of our relationship, I was interrogating the things of God. He was not interested. He was busy hopping into the occult. Do you know what I'm saying? Very deeply into it. He was already in it, but he was hopping even deeper still into the occult. I, however, was still with him, and I even prayed about him. And I thought that it was possible for us to still carry on being together, even though I was interested in God and he wasn't. The Lord is the one that separated us. So essentially, in those early days, before I was thoroughly trained up in Christ, if he had proposed marriage to me, even though I was interested in the things of God and my boyfriend wasn't, I would have accepted that proposal. I wouldn't have been trained up enough to understand, don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers, the consequences of it, the potential ramifications, what could happen. So this dude, from what the Lord showed me, would have been a lot more responsible than my ex. He would have proposed marriage a lot earlier, and he would have basically just finished what it is that he started with me a lot faster. So I was gonna marry a man highly convicted of sin, me convicted of sin, me seeking out Jesus, and I was gonna, in the middle of all that, marry a boyfriend I'd had since I was 14, because who else am I gonna marry? And this man would have gone in, he would have been diametrically opposed to me over time. I would have grown stronger in Christ, while he would have gone deeper into the occult. And that's exactly what's happened to both of us over the years. I have only ever gotten bigger in Jesus, and he's only ever gotten darker in Satan. He's only ever gotten worse. He has, his original personality is completely transformed. He's not who he used to be. That same guy now today is a twasat sangoma. He's a full on 100. I'm pretty sure the people in his life know him as a traditional healer or whatever. This is not information that I have ever confirmed on Facebook. I did not know this about him. He would only embrace his call Yobungoma after I got saved. After I got saved, in other words, I'd already left Facebook. I'd already left everything. It only happened maybe a year or two later. But by then, from what the Lord showed me, we would have already been married. So this is information that I could not possibly know. I could not possibly know it. So the verification or the validation of the fact that utwasitse is in and of itself a miracle. This dude would know. Upon watching my content, he knows exactly who he is. He would know that he's a whole 100% Sangoma. And I keep getting dreams of him. I've been getting dreams of him the past years. Of him regretting what he did to me. Him feeling very sorry for me. One time he was all up in this space, just chilling next to me, hanging out. Just like the other one from Wits. Laying on my bed, not in a romantic or sexual capacity, but just trying to find rest. Because he's fleeing from the darkness that he's involved in. And him wishing that he could regress the hands of time and fix what it is that he's done to me. And then going right back into bitterness again. The bitterness of them, of which would then make him, basically, like I've gotten a dream of him coming to me, saying to me in my face, I would have married you. And I'm like, whoa, dude, yeah, I know. But from what the Lord showed me, it would have been a cold, very terrible marriage, where it is that the devil would have made you do some pretty extreme things to a Christian wife. So I dodged a bullet. I dodged a bullet because of persecution. I dodged a bullet because of a friend that decided that my man was hers. I dodged a bullet because God Almighty works out everything for the good of them who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. I would have been involved in a relationship too young that would have given me a hard knock, ngakara soul tie, to a man that I would have allowed to ransack me and then finally marry me and me be one of those embittered wives dealing with a demonic husband. Just like, Vina Inaya, is it Ashanti, where it is that Terrence Howard is the husband. Would you lie to me? Oh, baby, a silly song. You know the music video. It's about this dude that just is so irresponsible with his wife. And when she's crying and complaining, he laughs at her. That dude would have been like that towards me. The very thing that I'm fleeing from today. I keep on saying that, Batong, I'm dodging bullets, I'm running away from occult men. Because they're gonna miserate me. They're gonna miserate me in a marriage. The devil is going to use them mightily against me. This man would have been an occult husband, but one that would have come into my life so early and so young that I would not have known to flee from him. So I was given time to mature as a Christian. That's what I'm getting at, that I might avoid such men as these. So that's one big fat chunky bullet that I dodged. My first love. A massive bullet that I dodged. A massive love that I would have had that would have made it impossible for me to leave a man that had to be left. I would have married him. His family would have intervened time and time again on his behalf to get me back together with him. I would have then found myself a miserable wife, bought purses, whose husband every so often absconds from the marriage for months on end and then comes back home. He would have been exactly what he still is today. Every so often checking on my ministry. Every so often casting a new spell, every so often doing strange things, every so often snapping out of his insanity and then going right back into it again. The very thing that's happening to both of us today would have happened, however, with us being together. I would have gotten stronger in God, he would have gotten deeper in the devil, and with us being together, it would have been a clash of the titans. A clash of the titans in a marriage. That's what would have happened with me and this guy. It would have seemed romantic at first. Oh my goodness, you met when you were in primary school. I'm love you till your hair turns gray, and I'm going na just as long as you're, you out here thinking that it's Music Soul Child and his wife. Nah, it would have looked like that at first, and likely enviable at first, but I would have been grieved to a point of familial intervention against a dude that's about to lose the best thing that's ever happened to him. He would not have gotten to any point of appreciating that I was going to be an embittered wife. And wives like those eventually divorce, producing an unloved woman who gets married. A woman that is super supercalifragilisticexpialidocious bitter. I would have been bitter. So my ex, the relationship that I was in with my ex for 5 years, from what the Lord showed me, all the nonsense I endured there pales in comparison to what I would have endured with that Okie from varsity at any given time. Not varsity, primary school. At any given time, if I had accommodated him, I was going to inevitably end up married to a man that would twasa in the marriage, disregard my Christianity, and be at war with me in the marriage. I was inevitably going to love Jesus. So I dodged bullets. That was just one big fat story because it's the key and the primary one of today. But comprehend, there have been many other bullets I have dodged because of persecution. Some dude in university, some tall, handsome dude at varsity that I used to have a big fat chunky crush on. Yeah, that liked me back. That's what's good. However, did not pursue me. And I ended up having to be dropped out by force of this after second year because of my mom not paying my fees. That guy would have pursued me maybe in third year, if at all. I had stayed on campus. Yeah, he turned out to be quite a prolific junkie. Later on, like as the years would progress, stories would ruminate in the streets about him, that he's a junkie. So I was gonna date a dude that was going to frustrate me with drugs. I was never gonna take drugs. I was with a guy that was partially a junkie, and he never brought me into the craft. I tried to snatch him out of it, but it was rough to get him clean. What then of someone that was a complete cocaine head? That's one bullet that I dodged. The guy that I used to think was my husband from MTN that I met, that was very super duper cute. The reason why he didn't pursue me and ended up marrying another woman was because everything fell apart for me. I lost everything. I lost my career. I got reviled. My reputation dragged. Ran through the mud. At the point of him being like, hey, can we go have lunch? He was actively trying to see if he can't talk to me. And I lost everything because of everything that happened to me. He passed me up. Yeah, went on right ahead like a couple of months later to marry some other chick that he met after me. It's on doing. That's what's good. I was bereft. I was broken. I tried to basically tell him I am the one, whether or not I'm losing everything. I'm suffering for Jesus. Like, don't let me go. He let me go. Turns out that he was one of those mixers out here always in the church, but super involved in sorcery. And he is not so much a twasified sangoma, but he is a member of a cult. Like, he belongs to a coven, like a secret society. So I mean, what was I going to do with that? I was always going to be feverish for Jesus, but I was going to end, if I had not lost my job, if I had not been impoverished, that's what I'm getting at. If I did not lose my reputation with people reviling me and kicking me to the curb, I would have married a man that claims to be Christian, that however belongs to a secret society. I would have married a devil worshipper. Because at the time that I would have married these people, you need to understand, I would have, not have the level of strength in Christ that I presently have. I had to have conviction of what to avoid, endure rubbish under certain kinds of men for a certain season, for me to know what to reject, and for me to hold fast despite time progressing, despite my biological clock ticking. So what I'm trying to explain right now to some people is that everybody that's rejecting me right now, and every man that's looking at me on some she's pretty butt, every man that's rejecting me right now, saying that she's intelligent but she can do ABC but she's this and that but she's generally very awesome but oh my goodness, I am dodging bullets. Last night I had a dream of some dude that, I mean, the only reason why he would be thinking like this is likely because he's age appropriate. You know how I complain that I don't want some Gen Z child? I keep on lamenting that I don't want some dude that has got 5 kids, 2 ex-wives and all that. I want a clean slate, like I'm a clean slate. No children, never been married, age appropriate. So basically a man that's my age, clean bill of health, no ngulaza coursing through his veins, no children, waiting to marry. He's been looking around for a minute for a wife, and he hasn't found one, and that's the reason why he is at the age that he is at right now and not married yet. I'm 39 turning 40 this year, so this is a man that knows that his age I would accept. That's the only reason he would think like this. It's the only reason he would, not only is his age acceptable, but his stats, they're clean. He doesn't have baggage. That's what I'm getting at. And he's been watching my content and telling himself, but I don't want a woman so barren, with nothing, no family, no love. What am I going to do with that? Whoa. It's likely not just one man, but a couple. Because if it was just one dude, it wouldn't matter because he's a non-entity, irrelevant. So God is probably highlighting or raising this issue in me because it is a conglomerate narrated body of men. The thing that I was talking about the other day, saying that these Gen Zs who are out here trying to cause a whole Christian woman to be a MILF are naive because there are older men that can hold their horses, that have waited on God for wives, that have essentially this entire time taken care of themselves and they still look good at their age. And from what it is that I understand, there are some who are actually watching my content and yet they are folding their hands, standing back where I'm concerned, not even trying to pursue. And the reason why that is the case is because, but what am I going to do with a woman with no family, with no love, with no employment, and she's so cursed and she has no money, she's going to, my goodness, whoa, like there's a dude at MTN that passed me up because I started to lose everything and he turned out to be a no-brainer later. All that my squalor, my poverty, and my suffering has ever achieved, and all that indiscretion and entitlement has ever achieved against me, like my friend saying, this is my man at varsity. All it's ever done in my life is shield me. All it's ever done is protect me from a man that would have turned out wretched towards me in the future, given me attitude, started out alright, like that Destiny's Child's song. At first we started out real cool, and then somewhere along the way, he is the bane of my existence. There's also another one that I met when I was working in the call center after having to drop out of university. I told you that I dropped out because my mom was not paying my fees. So I was not studying. I was in the call center trying to take myself back to school. And this dude was a Wits graduate, honors levels, working an internship at KPMG. He essentially was appropriate for me because I was going to go back to school. I wanted a man that was like me on an academic trajectory into the future. He was 1982 born, I was 1984, so it was like the nice little perfect age gap. And this dude, we hit it off. We had chemistry immediately on the dance floor at Melville, and he was such a gentleman. He took like the first date was we went and had wraps, burritos or whatever outside of a you know those hot dog stands that just kind of have those mobile hot dog stands. Yeah, we bought wraps outside there and chilled outside of his car during my lunch, his lunch also, because we used to work in the same neighborhood type establishment thing, and we ate right there. And purely because, and it was cute, I thought it was really cute, that lunch that we had together. Anyway, it was the first time I was ever taken at that age on such a cute date by a guy. Yeah, and this Okie made a decision that because I was just some girl working in a call center and not in his league, because I was not an academic equivalent to him, he made a decision that he just wants to hit that. He started out liking me, trying to take me seriously. He actually did like me. He took me on a pretty decent first date, but somewhere along the way he got super shallow, and I don't know who got to him, but he made a decision to treat me like I was a whore. One night, he picked me up, and I thought we were gonna go out for dinner. Instead, he takes me to his apartment, and then he tries to kiss me, and I'm like, I'm not ready to kiss. I don't want to make out. And he was like, then, I guess there's no point for you to be here. He proper said that to me. And I was like, how do you go from a dude that takes me out on such a sweet date during work to a dude that's actually telling me to go home because I won't even kiss you? Thankfully, he was gentleman enough to drop me off at home. He didn't just leave me stranded. But that was the last time I ever saw him, and later on, I would go on to see this guy, I don't know how many times in Melville with how many different girls, and the whole time he would be like, no, they're my cousin, they're my sister, and I'm like, you don't owe me an excuse, we're not together. We're not together. He passed me up, treated me like trash because I was no one to him. I was not appropriate to be with a guy that's doing an internship at KPMG. That's what it is that he treated me like. Yeah, and it turned out that he was just gonna be a mess of a boyfriend anyway. He was going to be a mess of a boyfriend anyway. He's going to hurt me. He was going to cheat. He was going to be a mess of a boyfriend because he was arrogant. He was starting to make some good money. He was newly graduated out of university. And so he was starting to earn some pretty decent money. And for a pretty young guy, at the time I was like only 21. So he was like 23. He was only like 23. I told you he was born 1982. Yeah. This guy, the way that he treated me, I was just like, whoa, okay, dude, it's alright. Like, proper. If you're gonna underestimate me because I'm not in school and you're a graduate, not even taking time to listen to my story to hear where I'm coming from, and the fact that I'm going back to school, frankly, like, proper, like, I don't want anything to do with you. You're fair weather. If you had found me varsity, either in school or a graduate just like you would have probably taken me a little bit more seriously, made me imedi, but like, that's all I was gonna be, in the midst of all of that chaos. So when a man rejects you, women, listen to me. Because of your current socioeconomic situation, if you don't fit his statistics, if your clout is not quite adding, it's not giving, if at all, he feels as if though you could be in a different position. I wish you had this kind of job. I wish you had this kind of salary. Men are just not the same as they used to be in the past. Like, they just were so happy to love a woman insofar as they loved her. Now it's like, what do you have to bring to the table that's going to give me clout as a man? When a man is trying to gauge you based on what you can bring to his clout, run far, scared, run, because he is shallow, and is going to present you to people as a trophy. I used to make for a really great trophy somewhere along the way in my life, and the Lord made me lose everything, because the shiny thing that I was would have gotten me married to a dude that belongs to a secret society. It would have made me a miserable wife. It would have made me a Christian in a marriage to a diabolical man that would have married me because she's a program manager at MTN and she's got 2 degrees from Wits University, and I took out like this much for Lobola for her, and like she got interviewed at Radio 702 the other day for her line of work. That's my girl, that's my wife, look at her go. That would have been what this man was presenting to his boys. This is what my woman does, but I would have been a miserable wife. I had to lose everything so that God could remove these blackjacks off me. He had to impoverish me, that men that seek to marry for clout would all avoid me. They would all reject me, so that by the time the man that has been set apart for me, should one come along, because I believe the rapture is rather going to happen first, should my husband rock up any minute now, there will not be much for him to have to basically navigate through. A whole bunch of random dudes. There's not going to be any viable men at the table. Right now I'm only being pursued by these HIV positive randos with 2 ex-wives and 7 kids that they're not taking care of. Some of them are even unemployed. How are they going to take care of me? They don't care, because at the end of the day they have more money than me. No viable, respectable man is actively trying to pursue me right now. All their kids, Gen Zs. I spoke about that the other day. Laughable. There is no respectable man that is actually worthy of me considering, that's looking at me, that's trying to talk to me right now. So when and if my husband does rock up, he's not going to have to go through those muddy waters of having to essentially knock out 10 other guys out of the water. Why? Because in and of himself he's going to be rare. A man that is prepared to love a woman not for clout, but because he has found a good thing. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. The Proverbs 31 woman, it is written of her in God's word that many women have done excellently, but she surpasses them all. A man that sees that says, this at last is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. A man that sees Rebecca feeding camels at the river is like, that's my wife. He is not trying to gauge her clout. What does she have? He sees God, not cloud, not this earth. He has gathered for himself treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy and thieves do not come in and steal. And so therefore, when he sees a pearl of great price dwelling inside the heart of a woman, when he sees God's glory in a woman, that's what he guns for. He's not gunning for clout. Everything else is secondary. He seeks first the kingdom and its righteousness, and everything else is added to him. So in seeking a wife, he seeks first a kingdom wife, and everything else gets added. He's not a man that will be perturbed by my socio-economic situation. The fact that I have no friends, nobody who loves me, nor respects me, that is irrelevant. And for years, I have evaded capture by wicked men precisely because I'm poor. So the very men that are looking at me right now on some, so exactly nothing. There is nothing that you can do for me. You are not my husband. Because as soon as I monetize my YouTube channel, as soon as I start to make decent money, as soon as I move out of my mother's house and sit in my own apartment, furnish it beautifully the way that I furnish my apartments, then only, next thing blossoming is my direct message space. Are you serious? Now only are you DMing me, hey Karabs, how you doing? Girl, I love your ministry. For real, you're DMing me? You've been watching me for a year. And only now that I'm moving into my apartment, you now want to holler at me? You now want to dust yourself off? Now that I'm making my first 2, 3, 4 friends, now that you can take me home to your mom and be like, look at her. She's a YouTube content creator with 400,000 subscribers. Now that you can say that, you now all of a sudden think I'm worthwhile. Goodness, I am worth the while now with 1,500 subscribers. In my other channels, I'm under 1,000. I am worth the while today with 27 views on a video, with 2 views on a video, 0 views on a video, with only an ability to gain subscribers through shorts because nobody's watching my long form content right now. With all this work that I am uploading, I am worth it. Worth it. Just as much as any woman with 500,000 subscribers on YouTube might be. But it is only once I get to my plaque e silver, 100,000 subscribers, only then is somebody out there trying to all of a sudden navigate these streets of, what is this, a direct messaging space to see, maybe even on YouTube if you can't find my email address, to present your case in my grill. That man, I want nothing to do with. It is absolutely ideal that I'm poverty stricken right now because I'm dodging bullets. There's a man that I could have fallen in love with, that I could have been with from primary school, that I looked at from the moment I was just a child, that eluded me because of his own indiscretion, my own indiscretion, everybody's indiscretion, and it worked out for my good. Today, he's a whole devil-worshipping rando that would have made out of me a miserable wife. So I'm not gonna go gelo olla homoso version 2.0. Do you understand? A man that when then love does not quite go the way that he wants it to go, he then becomes bitter. He becomes an ugly little soul. He becomes a little monster against a woman that he loves. I'm not about to have some bugger have a massive crush on me, but then to like scratch his head on some ish, but she's too what? Is that basic? Like any man looking at me on some she's beautiful, but if only she wasn't poor. You seriously think that you are in a position to pursue me successfully with that kind of a mindset? I apologize. I'm too protected by Jesus Christ. I am too hedged in on all sides by God to be taken by a man so futile as that in the way that he thinks. It's literally that basic. It's arrogant, it's pompous, it's a delusion of grandeur to think that I'm just waiting for these appropriate men to holler at me. But guys, please don't look at my poverty. Please just really, I could actually be really great if only, just wait for me to get to 5,000 subscribers. Then you'll see just how valuable I'll be for you to take home to mama. You seriously thinking that I'm begging like that? For really? Clout chasing men have no business being in the life of a Christian woman. The Lord takes the weak things of the world to shame the strong, and the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. So my lack of clout is my bubble of protection, and it will continue to protect me all the way up until the right man says, this at last is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, inspired by nothing but my godliness, nothing but the pearl of great price that dwells in me, nothing but the godliness that I'm latching onto, nothing but my valor in persecution, nothing but the fact that I surpass them all only because only because I'm in Christ. I fear the Lord. For a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. So if you are not praising me because I have no money, you are worldly, you are carnal, and you deserve a woman that you can go and put on a pedestal, shine as some kind of a toy, and show her to your mom because she's got a BCom accounting degree with a master's alongside a really interesting job in corporate South Africa. She's starting her own business. She's got 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. And on top of that, she's like an ambassador for like Ghana. Go and get your Ghanaian ambassador proper. Go. You have no business hovering around a Christian woman imaginative that she is depressed, just so sad that you're looking at her on some, if only you weren't so poor. Yeah, if only you weren't so shallow. It's that basic. I'm signing out in Christ's name, Cran K. Peace.